All right, this is Vector. How are you doing, Drix?
I'm doing good, man. Got to play some games this weekend. Had a good time.
I guess we were coming full circle again, Drix, because I have been jamming out on The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So critically, this game has busted records. Critics love it, 9s, 10s, all over. There's a couple of more critical reviews, but if you read the reviews, they do make sense. Just don't take them like a headline. I actually believe that I'm on the side of the majority of the critics that give this a 9 and a 10. This is a great game, and I've heard a lot of detractions say on the internet say, well, you know, this game is more or less either $70 DLC, which is like not true at all. No. But the people who actually get into the meat of it, I don't know. A lot of the complaints seem really minor, like complaints with the story, complaints with the pacing, and but everything else, you know, I feel as though the story is very Zelda. If you've played a Zelda game before, it's same kind of deal.
It will feel familiar.
Yes, very familiar. Much more, funny enough, much more familiar than Breath of the Wild, right? Like, in this game, you have to go through the 4 dungeons, get through there. You're fighting Ganon, the Demon King. You know what I mean? He's back full force. Like, he's in the trailer. Like, it's very much more closer to home. And all those familiar tropes are the things that I see ultimately people complaining about, which is very strange to me.
Do you know who you are when you speak your words?
Game Informer has the goods. They sat down with the series producer Eiji Aonuma and director Hidemaru Fujibayashi for an eye-opening interview. This interview is crazy, Drix. It's pretty crazy. Game Informer interview, Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, the series producer, and the
about
director
as big
of the
as
game.
media gets.
Yeah.
That's as big as it gets as far as game news and game releases. There's a lot of Link fans out there. A whole lot of them.
And in the interview, the two Zelda brains come together to talk Zelda sequels, creating the new grand landscapes of Hyrule from this game and the last, and about how it is quote-unquote safe to say that Breath of the Wild was the new Ocarina of Time in terms of an archetype for the future of the franchise. Drix, can you believe those words?
Yeah, I mean, and right from the horse's mouth too. It's not like from your friend in school, you know. It's like,
it's not from you.
Look, this is how we feel.
Yeah,
we the artists.
No talking heads. No commentary. No nothing. Like you said.
We think this is it. Like, this is what Zelda's going to be like now. And yeah, I'm here for it. I'm excited.
Yeah, like I really feel like, again, there's a lot of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are both really, really unique in that they are definitely, I think the thing that people, detractors of the game, like one of the biggest points that they miss is that it might not be groundbreaking, right? Open worlds are nothing new. Huge open worlds are nothing new. I mean, hell, gliding around in games and climbing up mountains in games is nothing new, right? To say, man, there's not a lot of things special in this game, and to ignore the progression of the franchise and how Aonuma did go in the interview, does go into detail about why he believes this is a new Ocarina of Time, and he actually says that he believes like that you are correct, or that the interviewer is correct, and that the people were correct, and that Ocarina of Time was sort of the archetype for the franchise at that point. But he admitted that it left them limited. It left them constrained in the stories and experiences that they wanted to do, and you can feel it in the gameplay. You can feel the something emerging from Wind Waker, from what was the one? Skyward Sword, from Spirit Tracks, you know, and including into the sequel, of course the sequels, not just like Majora's Mask that was rushed, but you also had A Link Between Worlds that was a fully fledged 3DS sequel to A Link to the Past. Like, you can see these little shades of Zelda trying to break out of its own mold. And then Breath of the Wild, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why Breath of the Wild was received so well for a Zelda game, was that it literally did. It was like a chrysalis cracking moment. Going from one thing that we love to talk about to something that I don't know how many people like talking about this, but I know the internet does. From Eurogamer, UK MP's grill regulator over Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal block day after EU grants approval. Quote, there are questions over whether the UK is open for business. Whoa!
They're just wondering if they have all their shit together right now, I guess.
They're really, it's really interesting. It's heating up. From the article, the UK has always encouraged, and it is the CMA's duty to encourage, open competitive markets. We are vigilant, as it is our duty to investments that consolidate an already entrenched market power. I would challenge the premise that there is an impact on international confidence on doing the business in the UK, suggesting that this would conversely not inspire confidence in if the UK was seen to, quote, be turning a blind eye to anti-competitive mergers. So this whole thing has blown the deal wide open again. And again, from the article, the EU's decision this week has reopened the debate anew, a potential source of further discomfort for UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Chancellor Jeremy Hunt, who previously said they wanted the UK to be seen as the Silicon Valley of Europe. Tricks. This is a mess.
Yeah, I mean, like some internet troll just shouted, well, is your kingdom even united right now? Like, that's what it sounds like to me.
Literally, though, like, it really is. This is, we have big corporations attacking governmental bodies.
Yeah,
and
they're
calling
duking it out, and we're seeing it more.
They're duking this out hardcore, literally asking if the UK is open for business or not. Whoa!
Yeah, it's like Disney v Florida all over again. The European version.
God, except instead of something that's could be relatively seen as some sort of political squabble, these are literally people telling the whole UK, can anyone even do business here? Again, digging back into the article, the deal being blocked in the UK, Eurogamer also says that the Activision boss Bobby Kotick says blocking the UK Microsoft deal would leave post-Brexit Britain looking like, quote, Death Valley. The gloves truly are off. That lawyer is hired.
Yeah.
Like,
this game stuff is starting to sound more like British Parliament.
Yeah.
Just a war of sharp words.
Moving forward, quote, there's a clear message here. The European Union is a more attractive place to start a business than the United Kingdom. Adding, quote, the English Channel has never seemed wider. Whoa!
I'm living for these metaphors, though. They're starting to write some good English words.
It's
At least
pretty
talking about it.
It's pretty insane. It's pretty insane to see this going down over video games. It just, like you were saying earlier, Drix, the amount of people, the amount of resources, the amount of artists, the visionaries that need to come together in order to get this product to you. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. No, and that's what's holding their interests and the interest of their investors, I suppose. Because that's how it works, right? they're all just shared by a board of some kind. That's
some kind. You know, this Eurogamer article says that the Microsoft now faces the difficult task of appealing CMA's decision, and that is something that the article says will likely take the rest of the year, if not longer. So this whole
Yeah,
thing.
they have the burden of proof, right? They got to prove it. That
They
what
got
they're
to
doing
prove
is
it all.
right.
And like this whole thing under the pretext now of Bobby Kotick saying that this block is gonna make it look like Death Valley. Whew.
Yeah, that's a pretty intense Paradox game they're playing over there.
Yeah, you're not kidding. This is
And it ain't Age of Wonders.
yeah, this is not the Age of Wonders that we are loving.
Some people are stressing out because there's a lot of money involved.
Yeah, you know, I can't just
More
build
money,
a gold
more
mine.
stress.
I can't just build a gold mine and be like, all right, income up 50%. Like,
Mm-hmm. No, you actually, somebody's got to do some work somewhere down the line.
someone's got to do some work in the Bitcoin mines.
Shedding tears, goal is real near. Try to shift into gear. That's when I see you coming. Prevent me from running.
Everyone's probably playing Legend of Zelda, but if you want to pick up some new games this week, we do have you covered. Yesterday, we had Trinity Trigger, the new for PS5, PS4, and Switch. I believe it was out on PC. That is the new JRPG style from old school Final Fantasy devs.
Oh yeah, that looks very attractive to me.
Indeed. It looks pretty good. I actually don't know how that was received, so might want to check it out. It is on PS5, PS4, and Switch. Currently out for PC. We have the Outlast Trials coming out tomorrow. This is a multiplayer survival horror type game.
So scary.
Yes, for you horror fans, you really got something to look forward to with your friends. If you like Phasmophobia, I guess, you probably will like this game. And if you have been playing Zelda, and you've been into this crafting, building, making vehicles, and driving them all over Hyrule, you probably don't want to miss Lego 2K Drive. That comes out on Friday, the 19th, for PC, PS5, Series X, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Is on everything. This is on everything. I'm excited for Lego 2K Drive. The last time we had a Lego kart race, I actually think both Lego kart racers, Lego Racer games for N64, and I think there was one for the Game Boy. Both of those were pretty good.
And I'm in a beat that's very unique. And I know that I for me. It's terrible. With a bug I gotta go on. I gotta move on. I gotta get on.
The biggest appeal of any Lego game is just making whatever you want to make, right? Like,
Yeah.
you just make a car and you let that thing drive. It doesn't matter how nonsensical it is. It doesn't matter how, like, you know, it's not going to be like Armored Core. It's
Yeah.
gonna be like, it's not going to be where like, oh man, I gotta like, you know, this I gotta put.
stats min max.
Not even, dude. It's even worse in Armored Core. My robot will not run, and I do not know why. Like I have
much
no
weight.
idea. Why?
It's
Where did
not
my robot?
aerodynamic? Does not fly.
Does not fly. Too top heavy. Cannot move. Like
Mhm.
what?
What then when you have the wrong legs? I can't wait to have the wrong legs.
Me neither. So those are some new releases that you want to be picking up. If you're done or you want a little bit of a different speed from Breath of the Wild, Drix, what do we got playing right now? From the Sega Sammy English website, the Q&A PDF that is titled Major Questions Regarding Financial Results. touches on the subject from the document. It asked about games priced at $69.99. Sega's response was, in the global marketplace, AAA game titles for console have been sold at $59.99 for many years, but titles sold at $69.99 have appeared in the last year. We would like to review the prices of titles that we believe are commensurate with the price increases, while also keeping an eye on market conditions. Also, for titles that are planned to be offered via subscription services, revenue made via contract deals are also included in sales figures. So we would like you to be aware that when these figures are divided by the number of units, there is an apparent impact on the increase in unit price. And, you know, while it's important to note that Sega is under a lot of pressure from their investors because they didn't hit their fiscal targets for the previous fiscal year, this response could mean they're wary of the entire pricing practice to begin with. We've seen other smaller stories and headlines about people just, much like how you said, people are just buying less games at $70.
Yeah, how else do we react? I mean, you got to really love something to be able to put up, you know, even sometimes 80 or like 100 with DLC bonus collector or whatever.
So it's interesting that you bring up the DLC point because when in the PS3 era, like around midway, Asura's Wrath was the game that really was like the canary in the coal mine for me. But that game, you famously could not get the ending of the game without buying it in DLC. When I saw that, I remember thinking to myself, okay, so games today are no longer the $60 that I pull off the shelf, right? They're $100 because I need the DLC, because even though this game gets lambasted, and we saw it with Star Wars Battlefront 2 as well, like these games get lambasted for their horrible, greedy practices, but microtransactions, but if FIFA has taught us anything, these trends, by the time they hit us, are so deep rooted within the culture of the industry itself that it takes literally years to undo all the damage. In the case of FIFA and loot boxes, it took legislation. So
wow. Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of Fortnite credit card refunds disputes, you know?
Yeah, I totally forgot about all those. The kids buying Fortnite V-Bucks with their mom's credit card, and then mom being like, listen, I didn't get no V-Bucks, guys. What are you talking about?
Yeah, be careful with that one.
Yeah.
Kids.
So, you know, it's when I saw the price increase to $70, I remember saying it on social media that games used to be $100. Now you're probably going to end up paying $200 for your game in the long run. Yeah.
For all of it.
It makes so last week on the show I talked about Age of Wonders 4 and how it's a great 4X strategy game, one of the best ones that I've ever played. There are 4 planned DLCs for that game. Each of them are $10, or one of them is $10, and I think the other ones are $15. Plus, they said that there's going to be more cosmetic DLC. So, you could buy the premium edition for Age of Wonders up front for $100 and get all the future DLC. I chose to not do that. Now I'm kind of thinking maybe I should have, because going back to my own rule, what if this is a Paradox game as well, and we all know how these Paradox 4X games goes. They go for years on development with 80 expansion packs, you know what I mean? So like, I might have shot myself in the foot by not getting the premium for $100.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they do work really hard on all that math it takes to simulate a whole existence.
Yeah, seriously.
Ain't no exception, sure you can lay infectious, yet the freshest and the restless. Check this, what you mess with is a death wish. Let's get ready, cause you can't stop mine. chainsaw, stop sign on your back, blind side. Roll like a tank, hit like a tank. Laugh all the way with the money to the bank. Crush, kill, destroy your opponent. I'm a survivor, only component. Zoning, gotta make it to the next morning. Roaming, seeing who I'm gonna hit, honing. Pinpoint accurate, laser aim in the system, but I ain't playing your games. S to the U to the R to the V to the I to the B to the A to the L. Defense, B through, defense, B through. S to the U to the R to the V to the I to the B to the A to the L. Defense, B through, defense, B through.
Do you remember Overwatch? Does anyone
Yeah,
remember Overwatch?
I've heard of this game. Aren't they they're under that Actibliz umbrella, right?
Do you remember Overwatch 2?
I remember hearing about it. No, I played some Overwatch too because it's free.
Because it's free. So it's funny that
Yeah.
you say that it was free, because if you also remember, Overwatch 2 was sold on the promise of an extensive in-depth single-player experience. It was the multiplayer was going to be free to play. It was going to be the Overwatch multiplayer, a better version of it, of the game that you all know and love. And then a big PvE single-player component was going to be added later. You remember that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there was a big old deal about, what they were going to do and what was free and like how different it was going to be from the first installation of Overwatch.
So we have some news yesterday. Turns out that's not the plan anymore. Blizzard came out with an official blog post yesterday saying that the Overwatch 2 single-player hero mode DLC is scrapped. They are no longer doing it. The single-player will not be a thing. There will be no extensive, in-depth character progression trees or anything like that.
Oh, wow. Did they spend too much on that lawyer they got last week?
That might have been Microsoft, I believe. But it is funny because when this broke, same day, shortly after the announcement, GameSpot rolled in and released an interview with game director Aaron Keller. Per the interview, Keller explained that PvE is not being abandoned, but, quote, the real focus is on the story missions and that experience as opposed to the more open-ended hero mode and that stuff, end quote. When asked about the showcase, when asked about the experience showcased back at the first reveal back in 2019, Keller confirmed that, quote, we are definitely not doing the hero mode and talents and that power progression system. Drix, this was the whole point.
Wasn't that the whole point? I'm pretty sure that was the point.
It was the whole point of Overwatch 2. Jeff Kaplan, before he left, came out and he was like, fellas, this is a real sequel. This isn't just DLC. This isn't a rebranding, and we're going to prove it with an extensive PvE experience. It doesn't sound like that's happening.
No, I think that's what we just learned in the news, huh? Yeah. They recycle binned it, didn't they?
Yeah.
They might have even emptied the trash on that bad boy.
I do believe I do believe they formatted the hard drive.
Yeah. Man,
So-
and that would have been fun. I might have really enjoyed that. Either a single player campaign or like also PvE multiplayer. Like there's a lot of good examples of that going on.
Right. There's a lot of good
It doesn't
stuff.
seem like much of a stretch. Like if anybody could do it, it would be them, but they're not going to give us the goods on this one. I don't see
at
why.
all. At all.
Mhm.
So digging into the interview a little bit more, essentially what they're saying is, in different points, is they're going to bring this back and refocus the idea behind the PvE into the mission focused storylines. So it really sounds like I don't know how long you played Overwatch, but they had a lot of these little events sprinkled around,
Yeah.
like every other month. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they would have PvE missions, sort of, and like little story things. Yeah, I've done a few of those.
Yeah, it sounds like we're just gonna get that.
Oh.
It sounds
so
like
more
it's just
already
over and
happened.
over and over, just different spins on these little missions.
Yeah, I mean, it might be compelling if they made them story related for like character lore, but what do I know?
Yeah, I feel like,
That might just be more work than what Overwatch is worth now.
yeah, I mean, at this point, I just don't know. I don't know what to expect from the game. It's hard to kind of take it at face value. I haven't played Overwatch since they made the switch to Overwatch 2, but at the same time, I also believe that the switch into Overwatch 2 was just a really, really jarring thing. I remember people, when the game came out, or when the game, I guess, moved into Overwatch 2 mode, they were saying that it was a very different game. The time to kill was harder. The people, like, it wasn't really casual friendly as it used to be. So, I mean, it's a big switch in focus.
Yeah, definitely.
So I just don't know what to. Maybe Diablo 4 will be better, right?
Yeah, here's hoping.
Maybe Diablo 4 will just be better. Maybe that'll be the hit.
What would you rather hang out and do with your friends, you know?
Right. Play some Diablo or play some Overwatch. All right,
Yeah,
let's get
if they're gonna do the labor, they got to put a little bit of love into it.
just a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I unfortunately skipped the Diablo 4 betas. I didn't get a good impression of it, so we'll see when it comes out, I guess.